and then in that vein. So thank you very much, Rajesh Bhai, for that. Okay, so in terms of the practicalities of the prayers, what we'd like everyone to do is we're going to say, if you kindly do us a favor, and this is where we're going to try this. If you take your shoes off on this side, if you come around, and then when you come around here, somebody will give you some water in your hands, your right hand. Just wipe your hands, drop it on the floor. Then they'll give you a candle, which is like a devo. And what we do with the devo is effectively you will circumambulate the murti 7 times. And when you've done that, give it to Ajay, who is going to be standing here, and he'll put it away for you. And the prayers are called Damodarashtakam. Do you want to tell us a bit more about the prayers? That's good?
We'll first play and then...
Fine.
If you want to read along.
Yeah, sorry. So we can read along. Should we get everyone to read one verse? Front row to read the verses?
Yeah.
Okay, so the prayers are ashtikams. Ashtikam means 8. So there are 8 verses. So what we'll do is we'll distribute these papers, and what we'll ask is the first 8 people here, can you just read out one verse each? Did you have to do that? Pass down. We can read the prayers. Okay.
So I think the English.
Yeah, just the English. If you want to do the Sanskrit, we'll be singing.
Jai Shri Krishna, to the Supreme Controller, who possesses an external form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught, to that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisance.
Upon seeing his mother's weeping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his 2 lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and as Mother Yashoda's bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisance. Sorry, I can't say.
Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayana in Vaikuntha, the Lord Heroine reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodara, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may be ever enacted in my heart.
O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like limba fruits due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I'm drowning in an ocean of sorrow and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me, uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision.
O Lord Damodara, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nelakuvara, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in this same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence.
O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope, I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes.
Thank you. So what we'll do, if you kindly take shoes off here, because if we take them off, that'll be too difficult. So if we take the shoes off and just go around there, and if we set up there, we'll put you through. See, press on. Just get that, maybe.
Yes.
Take them.
Be
ત્યાં જ કરતા તમે ત્યાં જ કરતા
His Holiness Lohana Namamishwaram Santi Anandaruma
And he went to this man with no hair. Why has he got no hair? This is in front of everyone. So it's very nice. But mothers have this wonderful way of answering all these questions. Even when he was a boy, he was this. So the acharyas actually say that when Krishna was young, his mother would consistently answer all his questions. And when Krishna became older, his gift to his mother was the Bhagavad Gita. Because the Bhagavad Gita is about somebody where Krishna has to answer their questions. So in one respect, for the acharyas, the reason for relating this is that actually now Gita, this is Krishna's gift to his mother for all those questions that she was asking. So with that, I'm going to leave you with Kunal to carry on and do the session. Hare
Hare Krishna. Give this one. Give this one. Can you pass me the Gita, please? Hare Krishna. How is everyone? It's so nice, isn't it?
Sorry, can you tell me? It's 11 o'clock.
Okay.
That's the time. I'm not looking.
Today Divyesh Bhai has to agree that time has stopped and we'll just carry on till we finish. So it might be midnight, not on that clock, on my clock. But yeah, thank you for your patience. It's very nice to actually start the program so devotionally. It was so nice to just, I really needed this time because I was rushing like anything. It's like, oh my God. If you saw me leave the house, you'll never think it's the same person that sits here and looks so calm. Some people say to my mom, after these programs, some people have gone to my mom saying, "Kevo shant maras che." Yeah, you done that? And my mom tells me the next day, they should come and live with you, So I was Mr. Panic, I was like all over the place because we were running so late. My daughter had a 10-minute parent-teacher meeting. But then because she's my daughter, the teacher had to go on for about 1 hour. So then everything got delayed after that. It wasn't all bad. It was actually nice. But it was good to speak with the teacher. And then we can't tell the teacher, look, zip it, we got to leave. So we had to finish that meeting. So thank you so much for your patience. And just starting the program devotionally, just giving our heart to Krishna. Even for a few seconds, but it just kind of brings everything back to perspective, that we can really bring ourselves here, being with Yashoda Damodar, in this intimate way, offering them a candle in this very auspicious month of Kartik. Right now in Vrindavan Dham, everything is very manic. There's so many pilgrims that go to Vrindavan during Kartik. So during this auspicious month of Kartik, everyone is immersed because it's said that everything we do for Krishna in this month is multiplied by 1,000. So we chant one mantra, it's like you chanted 1,000 mantras. You come to one Gita class, it's like you've been to 1,000 Gita classes. Everything's multiplied by 1,000. So for the next 3 odd weeks, the more we do, it's being multiplied by 1,000. So the simplest things we do for Krishna, offering him a prayer, offering him a fruit, offering him some water, anything that comes from the heart, Krishna is being extra merciful this month, every year. So thank you so much. So we'll just begin the session by remembering where we are in the Gita. We're in chapter 6. We were discussing Krishna talking to Arjuna about Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, which is doing a difficult process, a difficult spiritual process. And he was convincing Arjuna that actually you're better off fighting this battle. You running away to the forest may not be your thing. It may be someone else's thing. It's very rare in this age for someone to be so paka with their yogic practice. So he explained it all to Arjuna very diligently so that Arjuna can come to his own decision. So we've all made a decision this evening to be immersed in Krishna and Arjuna's conversation. So let's just take a minute to chant the Mangala Charan prayers, which we chant every time we are here. So if you know the words, please do sing along. If you don't, just listen very attentively to the transcendental sound vibration. And just by hearing the transcendental sound vibration, we become spiritualized. The process of hearing is so purifying. It's so potent. Even if we can't remember what we hear, the actual process of hearing is so powerful. So we'll just take a minute to bring ourselves to this room where we are going to go to the battle of Kurukshetra. We're going to leave all our duties, all our phone calls, emails, WhatsApps. We're going to leave them all at home. We're going to leave them all in the car and really take shelter of this next hour that we're going to immerse ourselves in the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So we just chant the prayers. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. One more loud and loud. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you. So chapter 6, Krishna is saying to Arjun, look, this meditation, you're going to have to sit on kusha grass, you're going to have to sit on deer skin, you're going to have to look at your nose, you're going to have to meditate, you can look at the tip of your nose and just meditate, sitting upright, and keep your mind extremely still. And I think that's where we left off last time, 6:23, I think we left off. So today we're going to do 6:24 onwards. So let's just start with 6:24. So I'll just read this one and then we'll ask others to read also. So 6.24 says, one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna that it's this mind that we're going to need to use to help us stay determined. Determination is such a quality that all of us, I'm sure, are determined to have. We're determined to have determination. And the fact that we're determined to have determination means that maybe we are trying to focus our lives in such a way that we can be more determined. And then we think, what is it that I'm determined to achieve? Because with everything we do, there's a goal. If we are simply living our lives day to day, without understanding, without thinking, without realizing what is our goal, then what will happen is we will simply live day to day and one day come to a crisis. We'll one day come to a crisis because one day it will hit us, where am I going? It's like we buy a car and then we sit in the car, but ultimately, what is the purpose of a car? Anyone? What's the purpose of a car? Take you from A to B. Takes you from point A, your starting point, to point B, which is your destination. I mean, you can go for a drive, but after a while, you just come back to point A. You just come back to your starting point if you go for a drive. But that what happens? You come back to your starting point, right? But if we drive, usually it's to get to a destination. And this life, in one sense, is going from A to B. This life has a starting point, and this life has a destination. And the ultimate destination, which Krishna will talk about in the 8th chapter more, is going back to the spiritual world, where every step is a dance, every word is a song. Wouldn't that just be a lovely, every step is a dance, every word is a song. That's how the people live in the spiritual world. There's no, Vaikunta means, Kunta means anxiety, and Vai means without. It's the planets without anxiety, without any fear. The material world where we live is pretty much based on fear. And the determination we generally are trying to imbibe within us is so that we can live a life fearlessly. It's said that a life that is, I think I've said this before, a life that is a decision that is based on fears results in an average life. But when we make decisions based on our dreams, it results in a very inspiring, wonderful life. So if we want a wonderful life, I'm sure we want a wonderful life. Whatever, how many years we have left in this world, we want to really make them count. We want them to really be special. One of my friends said to me the other day, and I was like, geez, man, relax. He goes, Kunal, you know you're 42. You've got 20 good summers. I'm like, no, don't say this to me. My dad's 71. He's still having good summers. So, but what he was trying to say to me was, you're making decisions in your life right now. Make sure the decisions you're making are not based on your fears, and they're based more on your dreams, on what we can really do. So often we make decisions based on our fears. And so here, when Krishna is talking about the practice with determination, actually it takes a lot of determination to live a life fearlessly. Doesn't it? To live a life fearlessly, to really go for it. And then we're thinking, what do we want to go for? What do we really want to go for? And Krishna is explaining to Arjuna here, actually we can just carry on in this conversation that Krishna is having. In text number 25. Does anyone want to read text 25? Can we have anyone volunteering for text 25? Can anyone read? Yes, please.
Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Thank you. So, by means of intelligence, so we were discussing last time, we have a mind. The mind is the option generator. The mind gives you lots of options. Do this, do that, go left, go right, go up, go down, go for a Gita class, don't go for Gita class, go to party, don't go to party, call mum, don't call mum. All these different options. And then the intelligence, the discriminating intelligence is what then helps you choose one of those options. It's the intelligence. And Krishna is saying intelligence needs to be sustained by full conviction. So this is intelligence by full conviction. So what does this mean? That means that our faith is the basis of what we do. Like and when it comes to faith, we might think, do I have faith? Do I not have faith? What is faith? So Srila Prabhupada, in one of his purports in the 2nd chapter, he describes faith. He says, faith is an unflinching trust in something sublime. An unflinching trust in something sublime. That there is something beyond what we see day to day. There's some reason behind what's going on. What's the saying? There are no accidents. You know, sometimes we go through a calamity in life. And when we go through this calamity, we try and really understand the reason. Like, why did this happen? Like, why did this happen to me? Does anyone think like this? Yeah. Why? Why me? Like, why me? You know, why did this happen to me? And we try and analyze, where did it come from? Where did this come from? What did I do? What did I do to deserve this?
Thoughts.
Sorry?
Thoughts.
Our thoughts, yeah. It all starts with our thoughts. It all starts with our thoughts. So what did I do to deserve the situation that has come to me? This is prominent in our life. Why? Why me? But there are no accidents. Because if we think about this concept of karma, which we've been discussing, and in order to be able to continue our spiritual life with full conviction, one thing we have to, I guess, become really comfortable with is that there are no accidents. Because if we start to doubt the plans of the Lord, then what can happen is we start to doubt everything going on. The doubts, in one sense, when we have a doubt, we should try and clear it very quickly. Just like if you have a disagreement with your partner, or a disagreement with your son or your daughter or your mother or your father, until the conversation happens, until that day there is some conversation, it's very hard to reconcile it. Sometimes we're forced to. Sometimes we're forced to reconcile because the person that we didn't clear the doubt with has passed away. That can happen. And then we have to go through a process with ourselves and with Krishna and with the Lord to reconcile the difference, to reconcile anything that was hanging. But while we are still in this world, ultimately we have an opportunity to reconcile differences by speaking to each other. And until we usually speak to each other, there's always something hanging in our consciousness, some negativity, some doubt about that person. And what we often notice, when we then speak to them, the doubt is cleared very, very quickly, because we've had some time. At the beginning of a conflict, there's just like no time to even think for 1 millisecond that I could have been wrong, right? It's just not possible I could have been wrong at that time. Then as a few days go by, a week or two passes, maybe a month, then we start to distance ourselves, from our own mind. The intelligence has some opportunity to distance itself from the mind. And when the intelligence has some opportunity to distance itself from the mind, what can happen? The intelligence can tell the mind, actually, you could have done things a bit differently. Actually, you were a bit harsh the way you spoke. The intelligence, you basically tell yourself, the intelligence tells your mind. And then, once we started to understand that for ourselves, when you have the conversation with the other person, we are also willing to hear their point of view. We're willing to hear their perspective. We're willing to put ourselves in their shoes so that we can understand how it was for them in their world. Because when we're having a conflict, I'm in my world, this other person is in their world, and two worlds are colliding. But if we can understand that other person's world, then what can happen? We can then lead to a very meaningful resolution. So Krishna is saying, our intelligence is sustained by full conviction. We can only have full conviction if our intelligence is sharp. And our intelligence is sharp. Krishna explains earlier that this jnana asina, this weapon of knowledge, jnana asina, this weapon of knowledge should be used to slash our doubts. So what does it mean to have the weapon of knowledge? The weapon of knowledge means we should know the full picture. If there's a conflict between you and someone else, between me and someone else, we should really try and get knowledge of the full picture. What's actually happened from my side and from their side, and any third party perspective, or what's going on in the environment around us. Sometimes two people argue because they're just hungry, even adults, or they're just thirsty, or they're just hot. Isn't it? Like when it was like 38 degrees, that heat wave we had, was it this summer or last summer? Like me and my wife couldn't even say hello to each other without something being wrong, because it's just so, it's just the environment can cause sometimes, So, if we can understand the full perspective, then we have a full understanding. So Krishna here is saying, yes, the mind should be fixed on the self alone and think of nothing else, the supreme self. If we think of Krishna, if our intelligence is spiritualized. Now what does it mean to have spiritualized intelligence? Spiritualized intelligence means to understand things from the viewpoint of eternality. And if we understand things from the viewpoint of eternality, they're actually the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is small things don't matter. If you think big picture, small things don't matter, right? So in the bigger picture, is it really worth the self-destruction that we cause ourselves because of the things that happen in this world? And usually the reason why we find it so hard in our day-to-day challenges is acceptance of situations and our expectations. And when we talk about expectations, we have so many expectations of others, isn't it? We have expectations of what grades our kids should get at school. We have expectations of how my partner should treat me, how many times we should go for a date night. We have so many expectations of how my parents should look out for me, or whatever. We have so many different expectations. And when those expectations are not met, what happens? Straight away, we are getting ourselves worked up. But what I've been thinking about a lot recently is how much expectation do we put on ourselves that causes us unnecessary disharmony within ourselves, right? So like, no one's put this expectation on me, but I have an expectation on myself that I will read for 1 hour a day. I'll read for 1 hour a day. Okay, that's the expectation I put on myself. Maybe people have said in a Bhagavad Gita class, we should read 1 hour a day or half an hour a day. So we hear these things, we hear. But then what happens is, we hear and then we put that expectation on ourselves. And then when we go through 1 day or 2 days not fulfilling our own expectations that we put on ourselves, we become miserable. We become depressed. We become sad. We feel maybe we're not good enough. And this is all done by ourselves to ourselves. It's all done. And what happened there is that the intelligence wasn't sustained by full conviction. Because the intelligence should be able to tell the mind, it's okay. The self, the inner self, the soul should be able to speak to the mind and say, hey, don't worry about it. You're still great. Carry on tomorrow. We should be able, in one sense, to manage ourselves. And when we haven't been kind to ourselves, then what happens? And when the mind is reeling, and this is what Arjuna is going through right now. He's going through a difficult situation in his mind because he's hearing what Krishna is saying, and he can't quite grasp what Krishna is telling him right now. And when the mind is not being kind to ourselves, then the mind will feel like giving up. And so what did Arjuna say in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? I'm putting my Gandiva bow down. I'm putting my bow and arrow down. Krishna, Govinda, I will not fight. I'm not going to fight. So he got himself into this level of anxiety. He got himself into this level of difficulty because at that point his intelligence wasn't sustained by full conviction. His intelligence wasn't able to speak to his mind. So then he approached Krishna. So this is generally what we do. Then when we're in crisis point, it's phone a friend, isn't it? We just got to hope we choose a good friend when we're in that moment. And then in the next verse, which is a very nice verse, yato yato nischalati manas chanchalamas tatastato niyam yetad atmanyeva vasham nayet. So in text 26, Krishna is explaining how we can actually deal with a mind that goes here and there. From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under control of the self. Our reading and our mind goes somewhere else, somewhere. But Krishna is saying, bring it back. Sometimes you're in a Bhagavad Gita class and you're looking up there. And then the mind realizes it's gone up there, and then what do? You bring it back. I see it happen to you guys sometimes. So Krishna is giving us nice hints that actually the mind will do that. Why? And he even explains to Krishna, he even explains to Arjuna, chanchalam astiram. Chanchala means it's flickering, ashtira means it's unsteady. The mind is flickering, the mind is unsteady. It's everywhere. The mind is everywhere. And because the mind is everywhere, when we notice the mind has gone somewhere, we have to bring it back. And that's all we can do. And that's all we can do. Krishna doesn't say to Arjuna, if your mind is flickering and unsteady, you're an absolute fool. He doesn't say that. We sometimes tell ourselves things like that. But actually, Krishna just says, when this happens, just bring it back. Bring it back and carry on. So when we're chanting in the morning, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We're chanting. It's like I'm chanting in the morning, or even if I'm chanting in the afternoon or in the evening, whenever I'm chanting my Mara, my mind is everywhere. Like in the morning, it's planning the day. Got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. Then Hare Krishna, Krishna, and then it goes back somewhere else. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare, and it goes everywhere. But the thing is, Krishna's not giving me a hard time if it's going somewhere. Krishna's happy if I'm just endeavoring with determination to bring it back whenever I realize. So he's not a fanatic. He's actually very relaxed. He's very loving. Sometimes we have this tension within ourselves that God is very barbaric, frightening, fearful, He's going to tell me off. You know, we have all these internal dialogue about God, and we're very scared. No, I'm not karai, I'm karwanu. Nitar am thase. You know, it's like sometimes going to a religious event with someone who's very superstitious. It's actually really difficult because they think everything bad's going to happen. And I'm like, but you're doing something for God. He's going to look at the good. You know, God's going to look at the good. He's not going to look at, oh my God, when I'm doing the candle, did I do it right? Oh my God, I said I was meant to do 7. I think I did 8. What's going to happen to me? Oh, I think I only did 6. Did anyone do that today? Oh, you know. Yeah, I was meant to go 7. I did too many. I said, that guy did 11. What's he doing? You know. So, but Krishna's not like that. Krishna's not like that. He's just seeing the heart. He's just seeing the devotion. He's just seeing the love. He's just seeing the love. He's not so interested in the letter of the law. You know, he's into the spirit of the law, the spirit, the devotion that comes. You know, we get caught up with the letter of the law. You know why? Because in this world, everything's like that. You need 80%, then you'll get into this school. Or, you know, you get all these, so everything's that, this is what you need to achieve, this is what you get, and this is what you need to do. But actually, Krishna's not like that. Krishna's just looking at the heart, the devotion, the love that's being offered. And with the love that's being offered, he reciprocates. And the relationship is dynamic. It's going one way, two way, one way, two way. And in Kartik, remember, he's coming back 1,000 times every time we take a step towards him this month. He's reciprocating times 1,000 because it's his special month. It's the month where Mother Yashoda has totally drowned Krishna in an ocean of love. So whatever we do for Krishna, he is just seeing the love in which we do it. The love in which we do it. It's so destructive when we start to believe that we need to live a life fearing God. You know, actually the life that's satisfying is a life of loving God. A life of just really developing a relationship with Him and falling in love with Him. And he's just saying, this is how you do it. Once you notice the mind go, just bring it back. You notice it going, just bring it back. That's it. That's all he's saying. In terms of how to deal with the crazy mind. Okay. Can anyone read 29 for me, please? Yes, Prabhu.
A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same supreme Lord everywhere.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So here, Krishna's been talking to Arjuna about mind control. This is what you got to do if you go to the forest. You're going to have to practice this process of Ashtanga yoga. You're going to have to do this yoga. You're going to have to sit in a certain way. But he's now hinting. Krishna is now hinting more that actually the person that you're going to be meditating on, right? So he's in the beginning of this chapter, he's telling Arjuna, you got to sit, you got to meditate, you got to go within, go inwards, you got to control the mind. And now he's starting to hint to Arjuna. He's upping the ante of the conversation. He's saying to Arjuna that, by the way, the person you got to think about while you're meditating, that's me. That's me. So I'm already with you, so you don't really need to do that because I'm already with you. But he wants Arjuna to come to that conclusion himself. So he's saying to Arjuna, the person you're going to go and think about, you want to run away from me right now and go to the forest, but then the person you got to think about when you're meditating is me. So isn't that just going to be easier if you stay with me right now? Because I'm here. Isn't it? So, and this is what Krishna is saying. The self-realized a true yogi observes me in all beings, sees every being in me. the self-realized person, sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So he's saying to Arjun, look, this person, the object of your meditation is me. The person you need to concentrate on is me. And then in the next verse, beautiful verse, Yamam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chai mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami satyamena pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So Krishna is saying to Arjun here, just see me everywhere. Just see me everywhere. So we're in this room, we understand by being in this room, we're with Krishna because we're hearing about Krishna. When we're chanting, we know we're with Krishna because we're chanting Krishna's name. When we're offering him a candle, we know we're with Krishna because we're offering him our heart. We're offering him the light in our heart. We're offering Krishna ourselves. So when we're doing our day-to-day activity, we can see Krishna everywhere if he's deeply ingrained in our consciousness. Now sometimes people may think, oh, but when I'm at work, how do I think of Krishna? Because I'm at work and I've got to deal with different types of people, different types of situations. How do I think of Krishna? See, it's not that every single second you have to if you're a doctor, every patient you meet, hey, do you know about Krishna? Or if you're an accountant, you're not going to say, hey, your balance sheet just looks like Krishna. It's not like that. Actually, it's what's really deeply within our heart. So let's say a family man. He's a businessman who is very engaged in his family life. He has to travel abroad for work. And let's say he has to travel abroad for 3 months. And he's selling goods and he's buying goods. He's some business person, he's buying things, he's selling things. So he's buying goods, he's selling goods. It's not that every customer or every supplier he talks to, he's talking to them about his family. But the reason he's left his family is so that he can earn a living to support his family. So deep within his heart, everything he's doing for his family. He's doing it for his family because he loves his family. So he's buying goods, he's selling goods, he's totally immersed in his work, but the purpose of his work, he knows, is to support his family. So when someone is in love with Krishna, when someone is developing a deep loving relationship with the Lord, whether he's at work or whether she's in the kitchen or whether she's driving her car or whether he's gone for a walk, whatever the person is doing, because that person is deeply building their relationship with Krishna, whether they're cooking, whether they are driving, whether they're at work, they're with Krishna. They're with Krishna. And this is when Krishna is saying, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Because if we're doing our life, if we're carrying about our life with Krishna in the center of our heart, Krishna says, you're never lost to me and I'll never be lost to you. You'll always have me. You'll always purchase me. And we can purchase Krishna with our love. It doesn't cost any money. It just requires the devotion in our heart. So, there's a nice story when Krishna was when there was Brahmanas, and they were doing a big fire yagya, a big fire sacrifice. And when they were doing this big fire sacrifice, some boys, Krishna and Balaram, they were very hungry, and they wanted to go to get some prasad. So they went to the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas didn't give them because they were busy with their sacrifice. But the wives of the Brahmanas, when they saw these boys and knew that these boys were Krishna and Balaram's party, they gave everything to them. They gave them everything. And in fact, they wanted to even leave their homes and just leave their husbands and just go with Krishna. But Krishna said to them, actually, you have to carry on doing your duty. But he said, every time you close your eyes and you think of me, I'll be with you. And still the wives didn't want to leave Krishna. They'd fully given their heart to Krishna. And Krishna was, and they were never lost to Krishna, and Krishna was never lost to them. But Krishna said, carry on your duty, but all you've got to do is think of me, and I'll be there. Just think of me, and I'll be there. And that is Krishna. When we think of him, he's just there. When we chant his name, he's just there. When we hear about him, he's just there. It's just about how much we want to access that relationship. And the more we access that relationship, we feel that contentment in the heart. We feel that connection within. So, Krishna's then carrying on in this conversation, telling Arjun, okay, think of me, keep your mind under control. And then Arjun says, look, then he's listening, and then Arjun's like, well, hold on a second. Just hold it 1 minute. Can anyone read text 33, please? Yes, that's Niyamata.
Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and undurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady.
Thank you. So now Arjun's come to his own conclusion. See, ultimately, Arjun had to come to this conclusion himself. Look, this process you're talking about just seems a bit too much. It's impractical, it's undurable, because the mind is restless. The mind is unsteady. And then he goes on in the next verse, which is a very famous verse, Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayor iva sudushkaram. He carries on talking about the mind. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Wow. Now, we had heavy wind last week. One tree fell in my house at the back. And you're thinking, that's wind is uncontrollable. And here Arjun is saying, the mind is more difficult than controlling the wind. So Arjun's saying, look, this is impossible. This process you're telling me to do, it's not going to happen. Okay? This yogic meditation, this running away to the forest, it's not going to happen because the mind can't do it. And Arjun's being very honest. The mind is restless. It's here, there, and everywhere. Turbulent, obstinate. What does obstinate, very strong mean? It's stubborn, isn't it? Sometimes the mind just won't let you catch a break. It's like it's determined sometimes to wear you down. It's like you want to get over something but you can't because the mind is just not letting you get past something. You know, sometimes we have these internal blocks. Sometimes it's like the mind is so powerful, isn't it, that sometimes you even become aware of yourself, right? So you've suddenly, before we never were aware, and then suddenly we've become aware. Before we never were aware, let's give an example. I was never aware I'm jealous, right? Let's just use a symbol. I'm never aware I'm jealous, I just live my life, and whenever I do get jealous, I don't realize, what I do is I just criticize that person. That's what generally happens. If we don't realize we're getting jealous of someone, what we generally do is just try and bring that person down. It's just a natural thing we try and do when we're envious. Why? Because it's kind of like when we're envious, because we can't get to where they are, we just bring them down, so then we feel like we're above them. It's just how... So if we're not self-aware, our natural tendency when we come across someone that we're jealous of is just bring them down. Okay. Then what happens, maybe we start getting in touch with ourselves a bit more, we're realizing we're becoming more self-aware, we're becoming more spiritual, and then we realize, oh, I'm getting jealous. I'm getting jealous of this person. We become aware. But sometimes the mind is so obstinate, so strong, that even once you've become aware, it won't let you catch a break. It will just keep tormenting you with this enviousness or this jealousy. It will just keep tormenting you. And that's why Krishna is saying Arjuna is saying the mind is more difficult to control than the wind, because it doesn't let you catch a break sometimes. So then Krishna, he says to Arjuna in the next verse, Ashamshaya mahabaho manu dunigraham chalam abhyasena tu konteya vairagyana chagriyate. So Krishna says, Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, this is text 35, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So there's lots of beautiful nuggets, gems in this verse. I mean, the first thing that Krishna says, Ashamshaya Mahabaho, he says, oh Mahabaho, this you mighty armed Arjuna, you are so strong, mighty armed Arjuna. Ashamshayam, undoubtedly it is very difficult to control the restless mind, to curb the restless mind. So the first part of this, I find, is so relevant to us when having a conversation with someone else. Because when we have a friend or a relative or our own child who comes to us with a problem, a difficulty, how do we respond? And sometimes what that person may say to us may get to us so much we have no time to even respond. We just start going, we don't really give that person the time it needs or the empathy that the person may need. And if we look at what Krishna is doing here, he's really giving us a lesson on how to help someone when they come to us. Krishna's first thing he's saying is, O mighty armed son of Kunti. You can see first thing he's doing, Arjun is saying that I can't do this, I'm panicking, my mind is too uncontrolled, what do? I don't want to fight. And Krishna is saying, Mahabaho, O mighty armed son of Queen Kunti. So he's bringing Arjuna up, he's uplifting him. He's saying, you're not this. Right now, you're identifying yourself with your mind, but you're not this mind. You're a mighty armed warrior. You're a strong warrior. And then he's saying, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. Mano duni graham chalam. It is undoubtedly very difficult. So what is this called? This is called, if you like, this is attentive listening, we could say. When we listen to someone, if you've heard, one real good way to show someone that you've heard them is just repeat what they've said, or just show them some understanding of what they have said. So he's saying to Arjun that it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. And that's what Arjun's been saying in the last few texts, that my mind's everywhere, it's so hard to control, it's harder to control than the wind. And Krishna is saying to Arjun, I'm with you. I'm hearing you. I've heard exactly what you just said. And what we can think about, one lesson we can take is when someone comes to us with a difficulty, with a problem, with their challenges, rather than going straight in to give them your solution, try and just take a few seconds to show that person you are just totally there with them. Oh yes, it must be very difficult what you're going through with your with your painful knee at the moment because you can't walk and you like going to the gym, whatever it is that person has come to you with. Just be with that person, and as well as being with that person, uplift that person like Krishna did to Arjun. Mahabaho, you're a great warrior. You know, or someone comes to you, you're such a beautiful lady, or you're such a handsome man, you're such a, whatever it is that that person needs to just feel uplifted. You're so clever. You know, this is something I'm doing with my daughter now because she's been feeling a little worried with, 11 plus next year and exams. So constantly I'm, oh, you're so clever. Wow, you got that, wow. So she's worrying about what she gets wrong, and I'm constantly trying to encourage her with what she's doing right. Because that's what I'm thinking, okay, let me just encourage her. And then what happens. Because when we just stay with that person and uplift them, that gives them a sense of self-belief. And then, once we are with that person, and we've given them a sense of self-belief by uplifting them, then we can give them some kind of advice. Now, Krishna is in the middle of a battlefield, so he's teaching this to us in super fast speed. Alright, so, he just said it in 2 lines, what we might take half an hour doing, uplifting someone, hearing them out, listening to them, making sure we've heard them. Krishna does it in 2 lines, and then goes straight for the advice. And then it's, Abhyasena tu konteya, vairagyena cha grihate. Abhyasena means that by suitable practice, you can overcome the mind. And vairagyena means be detached from worldly things. So something we spoke about also last time was making decisions that are favorable for our spiritual life, accepting what's favorable and rejecting what's unfavorable. So abhyasena is suitable practice. So Krishna is now hinting more. He's hinting more to Arjuna. Do a suitable practice. Do a more suitable practice to control the mind. The process you're thinking about to control the mind isn't going to work for you. The suitable practice is go and fight this war. That's what's more suitable for you. And he says this in the 8th chapter, Mam anushmaram yudhyacha. He says to Arjuna, remember me and fight this war. So think of me while doing your dharam, your duty. If you're a mother, do your duty for your kids while thinking of me. If you're at work, do your duty at work, but think of me. Do your duty and think of me simultaneously. That's what Krishna is saying to Arjuna. That's what's going to be more suitable practice. And vairagyena chagriyate, reject what's unfavorable. Become detached. And sometimes this vairagya, what is this vairagya? This vairagya, this detachment is achieved, or should we say, is letting go. Vairagya, become detached, letting go of the things that we are attached to in this world that is causing us to suffer. What is causing us to suffer? And again, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at the first part, but a lot of the suffering we go through is because of and we said it again earlier today, is the expectation we put on ourselves, the expectation we have on others, and how much power we are giving away. How much we are, we're not able sometimes to be satisfied with our own self, and we keep looking for that validation from others. Just keep looking, keep waiting for someone to say, tu bo fine karacha, you're doing this. And when someone says that, then we feel a sense of relief. We feel a sense of relief. But that relief is so temporary, it cannot sustain us. It cannot sustain us. So what happens when we perform action to get validation from others, to get recognition from others, and if that becomes our purpose, to get this recognition that others will notice me, others will think I'm great, others will think I'm doing something wonderful. If we live our life trying to achieve that, we live a life of unfulfilled expectation because it's never enough. Whether it's 5, 10, 20 or 100 people that said you were amazing, you will still think about the one person that didn't say it to you. And you'll go home and you'll just be upset about the one person who didn't say you gave a fantastic talk, or you sang so nicely, or you cooked so well. Because if that's all we're looking for, and if that's the purpose of our fulfillment, there is no fulfillment. It's like filling water in a bucket, but that bucket's just got holes. That bucket's just got holes. You keep putting water into it, but it just nothing sustained. But the bucket that doesn't have holes is the one that isn't piercing those holes, giving that power to others. It's the bucket that is sustained with ourselves. And the bucket can be sustained with ourselves in our relationship with Krishna, because Krishna is the one that can fulfill us. When Krishna recognizes us, it doesn't matter whether someone else recognizes us or not. When we're living a life in relationship to the Lord, that contentment that comes in that reciprocation, it's all that we need. It's all that we need. I sometimes have felt this myself, that I give a class, I give a talk, and then I'm leaving, and then I think, oh, but yeah, so many people said that, and when so many people said it was nice, but that person didn't say anything, oh God, and then the mind is just like all over the place. And sometimes, when the mind is in a good place, it just doesn't bother me whether someone says it was good, whether no one says it was good, because I just felt I did that for Krishna. I did it with a pure heart, as pure as it could be, and it just doesn't matter. And some days they'll be good, and some days it won't be so good. But the great thing is that Krishna himself, he gives us that awareness within us. In that relationship with him, he'll make it clear to us within our heart when we did something selflessly or whether we did something with too much attachment. And Krishna cha grihate, become detached from all this worldly stuff. Become detached from it. It is worldly. Sometimes we just think that we just need to become detached from sex, drugs, rock and roll, because that's the gross stuff. The bigger stuff, the stuff. But actually, what we need to become detached from is the more subtle stuff. And the subtle stuff is the intention behind why I do what I do. What is the intention? And when the intention is pure, even if you do something really what looks insignificant, we can feel totally blissful. Our heart can dance. But if we're doing something that looks so grand, so significant, so big, but our heart is full of expectation, then we're never going to feel satisfied. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, just do this. And then in the next verse, in text 36, for one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. And that was the title for the talk today, Striving for Success. How can we strive for success? By really getting a grip of our mind. One way of really getting a grip of our mind is just something simple like that gratitude journal we were talking about last time. Because what happens if we think about the mind and the intelligence, it's all together. But the more we journal, the more we become self-aware, the intelligence and the mind, what happens, it creates a distance. And with this distance, the intelligence, your intelligence is able to really talk to the mind and basically take control of the mind. I know I've got a few minutes, so I'll be super quick through the rest of this. So then what happens, Arjuna's like, okay, I get that. But now, he asks this really important question. Krishna, what if someone takes to this path of spiritual life, they get into some mind control, but time runs out. You know, they hit they hit the end of their life and they didn't quite make it. They didn't quite get fully spiritualized, fully mind controlled, but they were on the path. They're on the path. What next? Does he become, and it's a really nice verse, Arjun says, in text 38, O mighty arm Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both the spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? So what's a riven cloud? A riven cloud is, like one of those, there's big clouds and you get one of those small ones, and those small ones then just try and latch onto another big cloud. But he said, does it become just like a riven cloud that's just like hanging in between two? And he's basically saying, someone who doesn't make it spiritually, but has kind of left their material life behind, what happens to them? Are they just hanging, dangling? What happens to them when they die? And then Krishna says in the next couple of verses that, and he makes it really, and text 39, 40, 41, he says to Arjun, I'll just summarize them. He says to Arjun that someone who's on this path, but their life ends before they complete their spiritual purification. In their next life, they could go to the heavenly planets and enjoy. And then when they come back to this earthly realm, they'll be born in a family, either a family which is aristocratic, a family which has got wealth. Why? Because if they're born in a family that's got wealth, then they don't have to worry so much about earning money, and then they can focus on their spiritual life. So that's one. But even better, someone who's gone further along the path, and they just didn't quite make it. What happens to them is they get born into a family where the spiritual culture is already rich. The parents are already practicing spiritual life, and then they're from a young age, from their youth, they are being brought up in a life where spiritual life is very much the focus. So when we see children that are doing some wonderful spiritual things, it's not that they learnt it when they were 3, they just got reminded of it when they were 3 and they learnt it in a previous life. And they're born in a situation where they're just carrying on from where they left off. They're just carrying on from where they left off. And all of us, it's very likely that we're just carrying on from some point where we left off in a previous life. Some of us have a connection. Like the first time I watched Ramayana, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Some of us have a connection with Lord Ram or Lord Krishna or any of the Ishtadevs we may have, whoever they are. But that connection isn't just something that just came up now. It's something that we've been building from previous lifetimes. So Arjun's saying, if you don't quite make it, so Krishna saying to Arjun, if you don't quite make it, you're not just hanging in the middle, you just carry on from where you left off. And then finally, the last verse, which is where we'll end, text 47, Krishna says to Arjun, actually, can someone read this verse, the last verse, text 47, please? Anybody? Yes, please.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, think of me within himself and renders transcendent love and service to me. He is the most intimately united with me and in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion.
Thank you. So here Krishna is saying, thinks of me and Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. He renders transcendental loving service to me. So this is what Krishna is saying is the pinnacle. He's saying of all these yogis, of all the different types of yoga you can do, the yoga that's going to be the most intimately united with me, if you want to connect with me in the most deepest way, the best thing you can do is bhajate. Render transcendental loving service. Do some seva. That's what Krishna is saying. Do some seva for me. And that seva, make it loving. Put your heart into the seva. Do it with some love. And if you do some service, no matter, it doesn't have to be big. Like we were saying earlier, just offering Krishna water with love, offering Krishna some fruit with love, that will connect us with Krishna. What we do with love will connect us with Krishna. And then he says, you'll be most intimately united with me in yoga. In yoga means in connection with me. And you'll be the highest of all. So this is all we got to do. Render loving service. Give our hearts to the Lord. That's all we're looking for in this life. All we're really looking for, if we're really honest with ourselves, we want to be loved. Isn't it? We just want to be loved. We want to love others. We want to be loved. That's actually we're striving for that. We're really striving for that. And when we feel a lack of love coming from others, all of that can be made up, if you like, by being intimately connected with Krishna in loving service. So we'll end here at the end of chapter 6, which is the first section, if you like, of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you all so much for your kind attention. And if you have any comments or questions, please do feel free to ask. It'll be nice to hear your thoughts also. Would anyone like to share anything? Or anything that any thoughts someone would like to share from what we've been discussing today?
I've got some thoughts to kick off. I think, as I say, every time I sit there, read the chapter, I'm so confused. And every time I listen to you, make it sound so simple. So thank you very much. But I just wanted to share one thing that just picking up as I was listening to you. Actually, I think sometimes we don't realize what we have in our hands and what we've actually got in our tradition. Now, if we look at any other tradition, without being biased, let's say you look at Christianity, Islam, everything else, if you read their tradition, you read how it works, it's a very fearful God, because you have that one life, you die, and either you go this way or you go that way. There is no win-win for everyone. We live in a tradition, we have in our hands a book that actually gives us a win-win in all situations. Because as you said, whatever we do, Krishna only sees the good in us. And there's a lovely prayer in one of the Upanishads, which actually you say when you're dying, it says, I'm going to now die, my body is going to go to you, it's going to be burnt to ashes, but you are the Lord of all sacrifices. Please, please, I ask you one thing, just remember the good that I have done. Forget everything else, please remember the good that I have done. So just reflecting on what he said at the end, actually, within the Gita, within the Vedas, with all the tradition that we've got, actually, even if you read any of the stories in the Bhagavatam or anything, even when you've got somebody who's meant to be demoniac like Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, actually, there's always a win-win, and Krishna does what is right for that person. So, born in this tradition, as Kunal has already mentioned, we're born in this Indian tradition. Again, when we go back to our acharyas, they say actually to be born in Bharatvarsha, or in this body, is a great gift. If we imagine the millions of other species and millions of other universes, you're born in a species where actually some of these things that we're given are inherent to us. And sometimes when you've got the jewel in the hand, you don't realize. So that was my reflection, but really it's just to say to you all, we are so lucky, and we're so lucky that we've got somebody like this, but really we have to use it. I know it says that maybe, yes, we'll go there, but actually you've given this chance. You may not be given this birth in this sort of tradition again, because you don't know where you'll end up. But whatever you're doing, use it. Even if it's a small thing, use it. Now, have we got any questions or any thoughts? I know it's a bit late. Okay, I've got the mic, so I'll carry on then. So one other thought. Actually, if we reflect on this, if I've got this concept in my mind, if you ask me who is the most spiritual person, I'm going to be thinking of this Baba in the Himalayas, sitting there in the freezing cold, meditating. But actually, you're turning the tables here. So how can you explain that?
I agree with that. It's opened a lot of avenues
doubts
in my mind today. I mean,
just from what you said, you took me back to a time when I wasn't going through good times in my life, and somebody like yourself said, if I put you on a course, I know you're going through bad times, just promise me one thing, you'll do the course. So, okay, fine, I'll do anything right now, because you're in one of those states. As long as you're paying for it, you know, what's the cost factor? So don't worry about the money, just go. So it was a 10-day course, and he said, I want a promise from you. He says, what? You go there, but I don't want you coming back halfway. You have to do what needs to be done, do the full course, and come back. So I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever it takes, if it's spiritual, whatever. Because I come from a religious family. A lot of this stuff about reincarnation and that, my kids don't know it. But what you highlighted now, it was on that course. First thing, all the mobiles, all the car keys, everything taken away. Suddenly, boys here, girls there. Next thing, we want to know emergency contact. If they call the office, they don't call you. We'll find out if it's urgent. Okay, isolation. Last thing, can't talk.
Oh, wow.
We can't talk to anyone. Can't say, hi, where do you come from? Or I came on this course because of... Okay, fine, we can't talk. How long's the course? 10 days. Okay. We go in a room, they do this thing about meditation, and they have a TV, and they have one mantra, Om, and he says something in... Over the time of 10 days, that particular trance does vibrations in your blood you wouldn't believe. But at the beginning, I'm not being funny, close your eyes, concentrate on your breath. Sorry about this if I'm going on, guys. I'm going to get to the point. But concentrate on your breath. So half the time, like you said, your mind kept going away. You keep coming back to your breath. It keeps going like my car's parked, or what shall I do tomorrow? You know, my mom's doing this, whatever. And it went on. Slowly over time, some people left in the course. Through 2 days later, they couldn't, fidgety. And I just kept going. He says, just concentrate on your breath. And now I want you to concentrate under your nose and just breathe through your nose. As time, if you feel that you can feel your breath under your nose, I want you to concentrate on, say, the heartbeat. I couldn't believe on the 5th day, half the percentage of people had left due to not being able to, what you call, stay focused, stay concentrated. And the idea is you're keeping still for hours in a day. I mean, if I told you to keep absolutely still for 3 hours and just close your eyes, you suddenly get cramp, you want to look around, and all of this happens. But on the video, it says, whatever happens, it's passing. If there's a fly that lands on you, he will go away. If you're itchy, it will go away. And the idea he was saying in life, whatever comes, if you carry on your concentration where it's supposed to be, it'll go away. So I learned that. But where I went to in the state, which he was surprised about, because you get, on the 6th day, you can sit down with whatever they called him, guru, and you can ask him 1 or 2 questions, and you're allowed to talk to him, but you're alone with him, not in a group. And I went up and I said, look, mate, 3 times I went to sleep, came back, and everybody, you know, 2 to 3 times you could stab me in my leg and I couldn't feel it. I literally could not. Few times I saw people fidgety, but it's just one of those things. But my body was asleep, but I was conscious. He's laughing, he's smiling, and he said, so now I start feeling heartbeat in my tongue, and you told me to follow the blood, and I went to my heart, and my heart was thumping away. But you know what you told me? You told me to go into my body and look for my soul. Is it in your eyes? Everybody said, look for, you know, where's your soul? Everybody has a soul. Where the flip is it? Yeah? So start going around the arteries and the nerves, and you're looking for this thing called the soul. All of this happening 6-7 days now. And I'm like, then he said, what you just put to light is if that course had continued and I wanted to, because it's hard. It's not easy to keep still that many hours in silence. But if I'd carried on, what you said in this, what Krishna was telling the guy to go in the trees and, you know, meditate was the word. At the end of the day, he was looking for his soul, and in his soul was going to be Krishna. So he was if I'd carried on, or any of us carry on, I understand that what we would have looked for was ourselves or him in every single blood artery vein. Am I right?
If you practice that process of...
By the way, the course was called Vipassana, and it is free everywhere in the world.
Yeah. But if you practice that process of looking for Paramatma, the super soul, then you ultimately come to find Krishna. And what Krishna is saying to Arjuna is the easier way of doing it is
here I am, just keep next to you. So all that, and I mean, I did think going to do yoga and meditation was the easy way to get to God. It's probably the hardest way to get to God. I mean, keeping still and all those beards and people sitting under the tree.
The thing about that, the whole thing about... So what Krishna is saying to Arjuna here, and why this chapter is still so relevant is, like you said, you can still learn so much.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you rang a few bells there.
So
My mom's reincarnation thing with the clouds and that, you know. Is it true? It's 108 million insects we get to be before we become a human being? Some big number. Choria Silak, whatever that is in English, yes.
But you can come back straight as a human again, or you can leave this world.
Yeah, and he covered the fact that we were Lohanas, or we're in a Brahmin family or a rich family. He just covered that. With mom used to say, "Tanjo je suta se, tu jo, aje abadai tu ganda vera kadet ne." Sorry, guys. Anybody? That's why I share that with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone else? It's quite late. So, look, it's been a celebration. So enjoy. This is the whole thing. Enjoy your Diwali. And my special thanks, I think, to everyone that actually took part and actually read the verses. I know I put you on the spot, so we're really grateful. But one thing is, I'm usually standing here with the mic, but the really important people are Ajay, Jyotiben, clearly my wife, Pavisha, and all the people that are helping in the background, and Muritsi. So I'm really grateful for them, although I'm here. And of course, we're going to miss Kunal. So just so people realize as well, we talk about gems and everything. Kunal actually does courses on Bhagavad Gita in a much more detailed version, but they're at the Mandir, but people pay to go to those. So actually we're getting something here which is like...
I don't take the money.
I know he doesn't take the money. No, what I mean, yeah, he doesn't take the money, but it's like a paid course and the money goes to the temple and things like that. But the issue is actually people are going there to pay, but he's coming here in his own time and he's going to be away for 2 sessions. So we're going to have a swap. No, so we're getting our original version. It says 2 of them, they alternate.
So that's fine. The 22nd and the next one is the holiday period.
No, yes, for him it's holiday period. We're going to make him do some work somewhere else. So please enjoy. There is some tea and Ferrari biscuits. Kunal, do you want to say anything else?
No, just wanted to say Happy Diwali to everyone. It's next week, and I don't want to get into the debate whether it's on Sunday or Monday because everyone's talking about it. But happy Diwali for whatever day you celebrate. You end up celebrating Diwali. And you know, actually I was thinking, because tomorrow I'm doing this talk on Diwali and it's called Finding the Light Within. And it's something that I've been thinking about a lot and something we were touching on today, that actually often we think of Diwali as a light offering and, you know, inviting Ram to our homes. But also we can think of Diwali as finding the light within ourselves, you know, because actually we are pure. Inside we are pure. And actually finding that light and offering ourselves to Krishna, or offering ourselves to Ram this Diwali in a very happy way. So wishing you all a good Diwali, and I guess I will see you all next year. So Happy New Year and Christmas as well, because I won't see you for the next sessions either. Thank you. There's some tea and biscuits at the back.